Good afternoon. Protagoras, day 7. Here is another proof that I am not deceiving you in saying that all men do in fact believe that everyone shares a sense of justice and civic virtue. In specialized skills, as you say, if a man claims to be good at the flute or at some other art, when he is not, people either laugh at him or are annoyed, and his family restrains him. It's so familiar. I'm laughing because we all know and have been, I imagine, at some point, someone who thought we are good at something, and then people were just like, no, maybe don't. I don't think it's supposed to be funny, but I see it so vividly. And okay, focus. And his family. It's not that funny. And his family restrained him as if he were crazy. But when it comes to justice and civic virtue as a whole, even if someone is known to be wicked, yet if he publicly tells the truth about himself, his truthfulness, which is the other case, was counted a virtue, is here considered madness. Everyone, it is said, ought to say he is good, whether he is or not. And whoever does not make such a claim is out of his mind. For a man cannot be without some share in justice, or he would not be human. Okay, so I have too many traditions in me that contradict this claim that every man should be able to say that he is good. Or everyone, it is said, ought to say he is good, whether he is or not, and whoever does not make such a claim is out of his mind. For a man cannot be without some share in justice, or he would not be human. So the first that contradicts this is, of course, my Calvinistic upbringing. Which, how do we know man? Oh, I can't. Apparently, he gets it from a different philosopher, from an ancient philosopher, Cicero. I'm not sure. Calvin. Knowing man starts in knowing God. And then we know man as a sinful and wicked, evil, even fallen creature, because God is so good and other. So that, which I think is a terrible way to raise people, telling them that they are inherently wrong, that there's inherently something amiss with them. And then the other thing is my Jungian tradition, which is so fearful of one-sided emphasis on the good. I think about this a lot, actually, because of course the good is quite prominent and important in Neoplatonism. I don't know if I adhere to the good. I will most definitely not call myself a good person. And I don't know if I want to be a good person, though there are people that would say I shouldn't say that. Although it's very Jungian. I don't want to be good, I want to be whole. It's not very Neoplatonic and virtuous, I guess. My adherence is to the truth, not to goodness. And I'm seduced by beauty, of course, towards the truth. Or maybe not even towards the truth. Maybe it's beauty that seduces me to goodness. Yeah, beauty has seduced me to goodness in the past years. Almost 2 years now. But my deep love, my eternal love is to truth. I don't know if a man should say that he is good. It almost feels to me the same as saying you are wise. Unless you are from a tradition which believes that all and everyone is inherently good. And we simply need to unlock that. But again, that feels dangerous. And dangerous in the sense that we... See, Augustine was so afraid, was so desperate to get away from his Manichaean... I don't know how to pronounce that in English. Influences. He's Gnostic influences, but they're not Gnostic as a way of faith, but agnostic as a set of dogma. That good and evil are two equally strong opposing forces. That he said evil was simply the absence... evil was simply the absence of good. But that does not do justice to evil, I think. But I do think as well that Nietzsche was probably the only one who got it really right. And I should read him more deliberately. I only know the title, Beyond Good and Evil. It's not about being either good or evil. We're human. We're flawed. We're finite and infinite. We're temporal and eternal. So much then for the point that men rightly take all alike into their counsels concerning virtue of the sort, because they believe that all have a share in it. I shall next try to demonstrate to you that they do not regard it as innate or automatic, but as acquired by instruction and taking thought. Okay, now we're getting to the crux of what I'm really personally really interested in. Can virtue be taught? Socrates, I think, if I remember correctly, doesn't think so. But my Socrates does, I think, if I look at his actions. No one is angered by the faults which are believed to be due to nature or chance, nor do people rebuke or teach or punish those who exhibit them. In the hope of curing them, they simply pity them. Who would be so foolish as to treat in that way the ugly or dwarfish or weak? Everyone knows that it is nature or chance which gives this kind of characteristics to a man, both the good and the bad. But it is otherwise with the good qualities which are thought to be acquired through care and practice and instruction, so building of character. So character, you can be judged for your character, but you can't be judged for your personal traits. Personality traits? I don't know. Physical trait, maybe. It is the absence of these, surely, and the presence of the corresponding vices that call forth indignation and punishment and admonition. Among these faults are to be put injustice and irreligion, and in general everything that is contrary to civic virtue. In this field, indignation and admonition are universal, evidently because of the belief that such virtue can be acquired by taking thought or by instruction. Just consider the function of punishment, Socrates, in relation to the wrongdoer. That will be enough to show you that men believe it possible to impart goodness. In punishing wrongdoers, no one concentrates on the fact that a man has done wrong in the past, or punishes him on that account, unless taking blind vengeance like a beast. No, punishment is not inflicted by a rational man for the sake of a crime that has been committed. After all, one cannot undo what is past, but for the sake of the future, to prevent either the same man or by the spectacle of his punishment someone else from doing wrong again. But to hold so I'm now thinking of negative consequences I experienced because of personal failures in the past. It is also a type of punishment, corrective punishment then. Sometimes good to ask yourself, why did it go wrong? Because the answer most often is because I fucked up. And the question is, can we not necessarily unfuck? I think sometimes when things are, once we've fucked up with something or someone, that's it. There's no way to restore that. But we can learn maybe for future events, similar future events. Life punishes us enough for our own insufficiencies. But to hold such a view amounts to holding that virtue can be instilled by education. At all events, the punishment is inflicted as a deterrent. This then is the view held by all who inflict it, whether privately or publicly. Does good action necessarily display a virtuous being? Or are we simply acting in accordance with pleasing society? For, very good reasons. We have very good reasons to do so. And your fellow countrymen, the Athenians certainly do inflict punishment and correction on supposed wrongdoers, as do others also. The argument therefore shows that they too think it possible to impart and teach goodness. For goodness sake, have a good day.